Okay, so this is assignment 12.4. It involves a 2-week diet plan for an athlete who are in the run-up to the most important competition of their careers. So this is the profile of the athlete we'll be looking at. The client's female, 22 years of age, 177 centimeters, 79 kg, and they are a heptathlete who are 2 weeks away from competing in the women's heptathlon at Rio 2016, which will be on the 12th of August 2016. So, daily requirements for the athlete. Since they're going to be performing very strong activity, vigorous activity, every single day of the diet plan, the activity factor will strongly affect their caloric requirements. So, the athlete's BMR is 1,648 calories, and using activity factor as a rough guideline for how many calories they'll need every day, you times the BMR by 1.9 and you receive 3,131 calories. But looking at BMI, the athlete shows a risk of developing weight-related issues. The BMI is currently at 25.9, and the boundary for a healthy BMI is 18.5 to 24.9. So what we're going to try and do is make the athlete lose a little bit of weight before the competition starts. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the client's caloric intake and have them working in a caloric deficit. Also, until the last few days of the diet plan, carbohydrates are going to be cut almost completely from the client's diet. So this hopefully will cause the body to use the fats that are already in the client's body as an energy source, rather than the carbohydrates being an immediate energy source. So the demands for energy will be internally fueled. So this will lower the client's body fat ratio and help them lose weight in the process. This will make them a lot more agile, mobile, and the heptathlon that they have coming up will be less demanding on their body. And so I aim to get the athlete's body weight down to about 76 kg before the start of the competition, loss of 3 kilograms, and also lower their body fat ratio from 19% to 15-16%. Women's body fat ratios are typically they're higher than men's. Women have a essential layer of fat underneath that is used for childbearing. So obviously that won't be going anywhere, but 15-16% is a very reasonable number. So I'll be doing a lot of resistance training, increasing muscle ratio, and burning fat with the client. So obviously 1 kg of body weight equates to 5,170 calories. So I'll attempt to create a deficit of around 10,000 calories in 1 week, and around half of that in week 2. So that'll be 2 kg in the first week and 1 in the second. So along with the lack of carbohydrates in the diet, will lead to weight loss for the client. So the training that the client will be partaking in is all relevant to the heptathlon. You've got the hurdles will involve training the ATP-PC system, allowing the ATP-PC system to work at a higher intensity and for longer, to give them the boost at the start of the race, and obviously increasing lactic acid tolerance, because when the ATP-PC system is worn out, they will then transfer into the lactic acid system, and increasing their tolerance to lactic acid will help maintain a higher intensity for a longer period of time. The high jump will include resistance training of the legs, the lower body, and muscular conditioning in order to strengthen the leg muscles. That, alongside the training of the ATP-PC system, will be beneficial to the athlete. The shot put will be resistance training also, but this time of the upper body. So the upper body will be strengthened, and again with the ATP-PC system being strengthened as well, this will be beneficial to the athlete. The 200-meter race will be quite similar to the 100-meter race training. It'll be training of the ATP-PC system and increasing of lactic acid tolerance. The long jump will be the same kind of training as the high jump. ATP-PC system relevant to the run-up and to the jump, and lactic acid tolerance, because it tends to be a significant run up in the long jump. The javelin throw will be similar training to the shot put, and the 800 meters will be primarily increasing the athlete's tolerance to lactic acid, as this is the primary system in the 800. So, dietary requirements. Heptathletes are obviously they're very active. They're going to have to take in huge amounts of calories to balance their expenditure, because they're going to be training every day for numerous hours. So Katarina Johnson-Thompson, she's a British heptathlete, and her dietitian I found on the internet, he claims that as an athlete, they do need balanced and varied diets, as anyone does. So Nigel Denby, her dietitian, claims that nutrient-dense foods are best for fueling the body. She needs to balance carbohydrates and proteins for endurance, fast reaction, strength, and flexibility. Apparently, it's quite tricky to do that, but as a rough guideline, the dietitian claims that she needs around 3,000 to 5,000 calories per day. So, on the rationale of that, the athlete should be taking in 21,000 to 35,000 calories per week to maintain their weight on a full intensity training program. Obviously, I've already stated I want them to lose a bit of weight, so this needs to happen quite quickly. So the caloric cuts and deficits will have to be quite large. So due to the training variety and the presence of resistance training in the regime, due to the lack of carbohydrates, proteins and fats are going to be very important for maintaining the muscles, and this is why they're going to be quite large parts of the diet. The diet's going to be mostly fat and protein oriented, so they will exceed the guideline daily allowance for both of the macronutrients daily. So in the run up to the competition, as I stated, the athlete is going to compete in Rio 16. So the diet plan will start on the 28th of July 2016, and the competition is on the 12th of August 2016. So the two targets I've set are to lower the athlete's weight from 79 to 76 kg and lower the body fat from 19% to 15-16%. So the equations that I've used to calculate calories burnt and the BMR, or basal metabolic rate, are stated here. These I've used for every training session, and also to calculate how many calories the athlete will need in a day. This is day one. As you can see, proteins and fats are quite high of an intake. However, carbohydrates are very, very low, as in sub 30 gram range. Most of the food on the diet is it's meats and it's dairy, because meats and dairy are both very, very low in carbohydrates. Obviously, this will be difficult to adjust to this diet plan. However, it will be only temporary. And in the last few days of the diet plan, carbs are going to be reintroduced as an energy source anyway, because if the athlete were to enter the competition on a caloric deficit and also a lack of carbohydrates in the diet, they will be feeling extremely lethargic, and they probably won't be able to perform to their best ability in the competition. So altogether on this day, including the training and the basal metabolic rate, the athlete will have burned 2,990 calories. And with the 3 meals that they're eating, they're actually only taking in just under 1,000. So this leaves them at a 2,030 calorie deficit. And this will lead to a loss of around 0.3 to 0.4 kilograms. So it is very drastic changes in the diet, very big deficits there. On to day two. It's all around the same kind of idea. There's a lot of dairy in the diet. There's a lot of vegetable, and you'll notice that with most of the meals I've given the clients, I've given them vitamin water. And the reason for that is because the diet is so closed off, and a lot of things aren't allowed to them because of the lack of carbohydrates. I've given them vitamin water to supplement the losses that they would be receiving from a lack of vitamins. So anything that they're missing out on from the food that they're not eating will be counted by the vitamin water. And most evenings, I've said that the athlete will also consume a multivitamin tablet and a fish oil tablet. The reason for this being is that you wouldn't want them getting ill before the competition starts, because that will completely scupper the training program and the diet plan, and it will also mean that the athlete won't be able to work to their full potential in the competition. So the caloric deficit for this day was 1,475 calories, and this leads to a loss of around 0.2 kg. So this is day 3. Again, we have a dairy-oriented breakfast with a drink of vitamin water to go alongside it, and the vegetable intake for today, with the vegetable minestrone, has been upped there. Trying to keep the diet nice and balanced instead of just protein oriented. And we've got an 8-ounce rump steak with black beans for dinner, with a cup of unsweetened tea. Tea and coffee are both fine to drink for the athlete, as long as they're unsweetened. Good amount of training in today as well. 1,500 calories burnt. That alongside the BMR. 3,208 calories required. Intake of 1,047 calories and a loss of around 0.4 kg, with a nice small number of carbohydrates in for that day. So day 4 is a nice omelette with cheddar and mozzarella for breakfast. Try giving the athlete something more human, so to speak, for lunch. A cheeseburger, but instead of the bun, you have 2 leaves of lettuce to wrap the cheeseburger in, to keep it nice and low carb. The cheese will add a little bit of carbohydrate in there, but it's not significant. And then a nice treat for dinner. 2 chicken breast fillets with a lime and garlic dressing and a bed of green beans. So yeah, it's a little bit cut off here, but 26.1 grams of carbohydrates for that day. 2,990 calories required alongside the training, and the total intake was 1,212 calories, which leads to a calorie deficit of 1,778 calories, so a loss of 0.4 kg. It's keeping the carb number below 30. Day 5, a mushroom omelette for breakfast. Got the protein from the eggs and the mushroom there. A salad for lunch, cucumber and tomato. Trying to keep the athlete receiving their 5 a day. Nice vitamin and mineral content in that as well. And another rump steak for dinner, with a herb butter on a bed of rocket. So somewhat low numbers today, around the guideline for the protein and fat intake. What's good about the foods that I'm giving to the athlete is they're low in saturated fat as well. So a nice varied diet there. The cucumber and tomato salad is full of vitamins. Cucumber being vitamin K. Also, tin, a good source of potassium, manganese, vitamin C, phosphorus, magnesium. That goes for pretty much all the vegetables in that salad. Magnesium and potassium are both important because they aid in muscular contraction, which of course is very important for the athlete. The intake wasn't huge today, but that was because the athlete's having a rest day from the training today. So I said as a kind of a basis, they burn probably around 100 calories just from walking around on that day, as one does. So that alongside the